Okay, so what we have here is the GeneralBytes BATM 3. Comes in several different sizes, which basically has to do with the dispensers that are located in here, the ability to expand to hold more cash. When you get the unit initially, again, it's coming from the Czech Republic. We're in the United States, and we got the unit and it came in safely with no problems. The first thing that you'll notice when you get the unit is that it includes one key that'll be wrapped in a pink styrofoam bag. That's the only key that you'll see when you're unwrapping the unit, and you got to look for that. When you get that key, that will unlock the front lower portion of the unit, which actually will have the rest of the keys and a bunch of additional tools inside, along with a couple rolls of printer paper and some additional items we'll talk about in a minute. Now, what we did to make life easy is I actually marked each set of keys with a tag, which I strongly recommend you do. All these keys look the same, and you end up fidgeting trying to find which one goes where. So marking it is the first thing I'd recommend. So we have one for the lower front. We have another set of keys that goes to the side of the unit. There's a third set of keys for the money that goes right here in the front of the unit, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then the last set of keys goes in the upper section. Now, just a note, on this upper section, if you try to twist this key, it can be a little tight. What helps is to actually squeeze in the front top panel as you're turning it. And you'll notice it opens up with no problem after you do that. Otherwise, it can be a little tricky because this mechanism is a little tight. So when you get the unit, you're going to plug it in. Because we're in the USA, Carol and the guys at GeneralBytes included a standard grounded cord. You can see in the inside here there's an on button. As soon as you flick that on, when we come around to the front of it, you'll see the LED screen light up initially so that you know it's on, and you'll start to hear the bill recycler. You hear the mechanism kicking in. That means that it's starting to warm up and go through the booting process. Now, when you get this unit initially, there's a couple things to keep in mind as far as the setup. It's going to initially say that the internet is out and also that the paper is out. Now, I loaded a roll of paper in, so it's just going to show no internet when this pops up initially. But I did disconnect our internet just to show you how it's set up. You can see right there, error, no internet. We'll talk about that in a minute and how to fix it. Inside the unit here is where the paper goes. You can see that the paper loads like so, where it's coming out of the unit, goes underneath, and then it pushes out right here. You just slide it in with your finger and you're all set. This here is the camera that takes a picture of their ID. Under this panel here, Carol talks about, the owner of GeneralBytes, talks about how to connect a manual Ethernet cord, which I'm not going to cover. Inside, you can see all the various connections and the AC power supplies. We're not going to talk about that much. We're just going to go over the basics of setting this unit up. Now, when you get an email from GeneralBytes, once you get your unit, say to them, hey, my unit arrived. Please send me my information, and they'll send you something that looks like this that you have to print out, and that's your administrative key, which you can change at a later time for security, which we'll change this one so nobody can copy it. But that administrative key allows you to go into the ATM and actually access the administrative section. So that's really important. So the first thing to do is hit this little triangle and then scan it. Put your QR code up, and you can see here it says, okay, this is my serial number and my administrative settings. Calibration is pretty basic. That just goes over actually calibrating the screen, where you can press in the corners to calibrate the unit if the touch screen is off. That's really not necessary. I'm just showing you for the sake of showing you. You don't want to enable the Ethernet unless you're physically connecting it. You can change the colors here. I personally like the background color being dark blue, but the default is more of an orange color. Same with the button colors here. You can go through and you can see the button colors change as you go from purple to blue and green and whatever you want really for your color scheme. Camera focus is pretty simple. You can see here, oh, there's the camera. If somebody was to hold up their identification, or take a picture of their face if you want to try to set it up in that manner. You can require that they do their face, maybe with their ID next to it. That depends on your requirements for your anti-money laundering or registration setup. Now for us, the main thing that you need to do really to get rolling in any capacity is go to Wi-Fi setup. Now automatically in Wi-Fi here you're going to see it's going to say, okay, these are the different options for how to connect to the internet. Now in this case, Dan's house is what our connection here is going to be, our internet connection, just as an example. So what you're going to do is make sure that you put in your password. Just basically go through and type it in. Go back and forth and put that in. There is a way to do it automatically as well. If you want to hit the automatic button on your router, there's a way to do that, which I'll mention in a minute.